Is Biden taking a tumble in the polls? President Biden took another stumble on the campaign trail in a video caught by millions online already, matching his lagging performances in some polls. Biden trailing GOP frontrunner Donald Trump in key swing states, as reported in the Telegraph. The former president is ahead of Biden in 6 battleground states, including 2 states, Georgia and Arizona, he lost in 2020.
Despite these abysmal numbers for the incumbent, President Joe Biden's re-election campaign has raked in $72 million this year, per the first 2024 FEC filings. Biden's camp gloated about out-fundraising Trump, publishing a press release titled "Team Biden-Harris amasses larger war chest than entire MAGA field combined." The president's campaign also reported having $77 million on hand. It published a chart to show how much more Biden has fundraised compared to Trump and other GOP challengers. The ex-president raised $46 million, followed by Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley with $15 million and $11 million, respectively. Okay, but this isn't quite a fair comparison here because Joe Biden is effectively able to fundraise for a general election. He does technically have primary challenger Marianne Williamson, and we wish her the best, but he is effectively fundraising on the extraordinarily likely, I think, fact that he's going to be the nominee, whereas the Republican field is split. Now, it's true Biden is raising more than all of them put together.
All of them combined, Robbie.
All of them combined, but like people are some people might not be donating yet because they don't know who is actually going to be the GOP candidate. Others might be not donating because they know it's going to be Trump and they're waiting till the dust clears.
But that goes both ways. As much as Biden's the presumptive Democratic Party nominee, Donald Trump is the presumptive Republican nominee. Not only is he, Biden is out fundraising the whole GOP field combined, Trump is out polling the rest of the GOP field combined times 3. So, I mean, that's where we are.
I'm saying Trump or whoever it is, but presumably Trump, the fundraising will pick up when the dust clears.
Look, and money isn't everything, but it ain't nothing. Yeah. It can't make you win, but it can get you on the field if you're, a billionaire, like the former New York mayor who was able just to buy his way into the Democratic primary, Michael Bloomberg. But what did it get him at the end of the day? It got him on the map. It got him on the debate stage. I think he won like Guam or something like that. But that's it. So I don't want to overstate the importance of money, but to the
Hillary
extent
Clinton
that
out-fundraised Donald Trump.
Good point.
Didn't matter. You're right. I think we agree on this. It can do a lot for you. It can't save you if there's something just fundamentally broken about your candidacy. You can't be forced on people with money. And Donald Trump, again, he gets free media. He gets so much free media, he doesn't need to pay for it. Everybody covers every single syllable he utters. So the money is one thing. The poll numbers are just really bad for Joe Biden. It's early and things can happen, but if you're looking at equivalent points in the previous race, he was never behind by this much. And that should be so alarming to pro-Biden people.
Pennsylvania, how embarrassing. That's like his home state. I mean, people have multiple home states. But Pennsylvania, blue-collar Joe, behind 9 points to Donald Trump
behind in Arizona and Georgia, which are, frankly, the more promising states for the Biden campaign, given how steadfastly and decisively the voters in those states have kind of rejected the Trump election stuff, how important that was to key races in the midterms there. Man, it doesn't bode well that he's so behind there.
Now, things can change. We saw what a motivator abortion was, and that issue isn't going away. We see now some benefit that Biden is picking up from people liking the way he's responding to the conflict in Israel-Palestine. He got himself out of a very unpopular war footing with Ukraine, Russia, and into a more popular with the public war footing with Israel-Hamas.
I agree. It got us out in terms of people's focus. He moved the spotlight. We haven't actually gotten out of anything.
Of course. And so that's helping him a little bit. But he still has the economy. And I don't know, what else do you think is driving his bad numbers in these states?
Janet Yellen, his top economic guru, says the economy is doing so well we can afford to fight 2 wars at once. That's the level of at some point it just becomes self-delusion among Biden and the Biden inner circle. Things are so great, we have money to spare. even though that's clearly not the attitude of the American people, and especially of swing voters who care a lot about the economy, voters in these key battleground states. I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall in Biden campaign meetings. Like, what are these people sweating behind closed doors? They're not sweating a lot in public.
Yeah.
They're keeping the everything is fine, this is fine dog while the fire's going all around you. That's how they act in public. Maybe it's night and day and it's very different behind closed doors, because they should be worried. There's, an incumbent president has a lot of advantages. There are advantages you can talk about Biden with respect to Trump. Obviously, the fact that he did defeat Trump last time. But man, the numbers are suggesting a fundamental change, that maybe there isn't enough enthusiasm for Joe Biden this time around. It doesn't seem so urgent. People who said we need him because we need to stop Trump are just so unhappy with the performance that they're like, well, I'm just not going to vote at all. And that allows the very vocal pro-Trump minority that is just as jazzed about Trump as they were last time and the time before. They're not going anywhere to carry the day.
I mean, the big elephant in the room as to why his poll numbers are so bad is, of course, his age, which is what we opened the segment with. He made this most recent stumble while he was in Philadelphia. And it's worth noting that 3/4 of voters say they're concerned about Joe Biden's age and mental fitness. 3/4 of voters, age and mental fitness. And that is something that no amount of rah-rah, we're getting into another war and we love it, or even rebounding economic prospects is really going to get to the bottom of. And I think it is just such an interesting gamble that the Democratic Party is making to take an intangible quality that they cannot improve and say we're going to ride this out, even with the polls as bad as they are. The clock is really ticking on the idea of anybody else getting into the race. There was so much speculation about Newsom. It looks like they're going to ride this horse to the end of the finish line.
For sure. And it's important to point out, yet not going to improve, because the economy could improve wildly, and that could change how things are. There could be some other issue like abortion, the war, whatever. There could be something, events could arrange themselves more favorably to Biden. They could arrange themselves worse to Biden.
Sure.
But the age question can only be worse. It can only get worse with every passing day. When voters are going to be heading to the polls a year from now to make their choice for who's going to be the next president, we're going to have had another subsequent year of Joe Biden's seeming physical and possibly mental decline. And as you're saying, the time is running out to make any sort of change. I've said all along I don't expect that they will make a change, because the they is substantially Joe Biden himself, and he's going to cling to power, I think, like virtually any other political actor. And nobody's very excited about a Kamala Harris candidacy anyway. But there's just a lot to be worried about if you're in that camp, I think.
Would a more cogent, younger Biden have made the gaffe, saying that he had seen evidence of the 40 decapitated babies when he hadn't? I don't know. Maybe he would, because certainly he's not new to misstatements in front of the public. But in moments like that, moments like the tripping, it's not helping him.
Someone I read in somebody's Substack, over the weekend, might have been Matt Iglesias, a reminder that Joe Biden was specifically chosen by Obama to be his VP because Obama didn't want to have influence over who was going to be the next Democratic star after himself, because I thought Joe Biden is too old to run for president. So in the same way that George Bush actually made that choice with Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was expected to be too old to run for president and didn't run for president. That was the exact same decision Obama made with Biden, that he was not going to subsequently run for president. And then he sat out. Biden did sit out that next election because he was already too old and didn't want to fight with Hillary Clinton over it, and also had personal things going on.
Yeah.
He sat out that entire election. The next election decides to run for president. I mean, it's just that was the explicit calculus.
So what do you make of Kamala Harris? Is that Joe Biden saying she's obviously not going to be president, or is that the Democratic Party saying, oh no, it's going to be Kamala?
What do you mean? Next?
In choosing a VP, isn't it the logic applying to the choice of Kamala Harris? Because I can't tell which way.
No, you're right.
Obviously not old.
Yeah, I think they chose Kamala Harris because they thought they had to, because of the kind of liberal, progressive, feminist on women issues and on race issues that you've spoken against so eloquently that it doesn't actually.
She's not the only black woman in America who is qualified for the job.
Sure, but they thought they're like, well, we need a black woman because we've committed ourselves to this, and she is a black woman who is known nationally and has run for president. And they didn't look at it any more closely than that, and they should have, because she was not actually very popular, even with that constituency. You've pointed out many times she was going to lose her own state to Andrew Yang. But they didn't think about it hard enough.
Yeah, well, Biden doesn't have to worry about any challenges from his back flank. I'll say that.
No siree.
All right, stick around. We're rising for you right after this.